Welcome to a more somber, episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue for a couple reasons. Usually we come to do these, on Sunday or Monday nights, but for special occasions or rare occurrences like this, I think it was important not just for us to discuss, but because a bunch of people want to hear it and want to talk about. There's 200 people alive watching right now, if that tells you anything, Kev. I think that's an example of how important the situation is, not just for Illinois basketball, but I think for Terrence Shannon Jr., the man. And I think just a way, there's ways to go about this and look at it that I think I've been through in my life already. You are always innocent until proven guilty. So I think that's the biggest thing that I want to say to everybody watching. You are innocent until proven guilty. Also, one expectation as we start this episode, and Kev, I'll let you take over, is that Illini fans and people should expect that was the last we're going to see of Terrence Shannon, good or bad for Illinois, and not necessarily because he did or didn't do anything. But when these things happen, the court proceedings go 3 to 6 months at the minimum. There's no way anything in this case, Kev, is going to get resolved in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So I just really think that, sadly, we've seen the last of Terrence Shannon as an Illini, unless I'm going to say 99%, unless there's something happens that, the accuser of the situation decides to come back forth and maybe change their opinion or tune, or something miraculously happens. That's the last that we've seen of Terrence, Kevin.
Yeah, 100%. And it's multifaceted. It's got multifolds to it. First off, just like you said, Ryan, the university has to protect the brand, the Illinois brand. And the Illinois brand supersedes Terrence Shannon. As unfortunate as that may be for Terrence and his family, they have to do what's right by the university. And they have to uphold the public image. They absolutely have to suspend him indefinitely until everything is rectified from a legal standpoint. That being said, having grown up around a law office my entire life, your legal troubles well documented by every hater out there,
and I'm sure they'll be in the chat here any minute.
Absolutely. All of that being said, that we understand that there's no way that this gets rectified before the season unless the accuser, just like you said, comes out and blatantly drops the charges. And even if that's the case, right? Even if that's the case, let's say 2 weeks from now the accuser drops the charges. Do you want to be Terrence Shannon walking into Carver Hawkeye Arena getting chanted at rapist? And I say that because, we've been guilty of it as fans. I forgot the guy's name from Iowa. We did it to him when he came here, Pierre something or other.
Yeah.
In the golfer days, right? We did it to Jalen Rose. College sports fans are ruthless, right? And if I'm Terrence Shannon at this point in time, I'm realizing that my college basketball career is over. And frankly, I'm okay with that because I've got bigger issues and bigger things on my plate to worry about than college basketball. And I'm going to start focus on first and foremost, the potential trial at hand. And then secondarily, my NBA career. So, and then we've got some chats to come out. Pierre Pierce, thanks, Colin Williams. Appreciate you for chiming in there. And Pierre Pierce might have been a dirtbag, might have done it, but we in the court of public opinion convict people before, like Ryan said earlier, you should be presumed innocent until proven guilty. But we in the court of public opinion convict people all the time. We convicted the Duke lacrosse team. We convicted Matt Ariza, the punter for the Bills. We convicted Trevor Bauer. No means no when the crust. Yep, exactly. We did that to Pierre Pierce. If I'm Terrence Shannon, I just don't want to deal with that, and I don't blame him. There's a lot of things at hand, though. So people are jumping in the chat, and they've said some things like, "Why are we just hearing about this now?" Well, let's be real here. This news of an actual charge being levied against Terrence Shannon today was not necessarily new news. The university was made aware. Terrence Shannon was made aware that there was an accusation and that the Lawrence Police Department was looking into the accusation of rape, but no charges had been filed. And frankly, I think that Whitman and the University of Illinois did the right thing because they did not suspend Terrence at that point in time based on an accusation. I don't believe people should be suspended on accusations. They've done an investigation, and they found that, in their opinion, the state's district attorney's office in Lawrence has filed charges now against Terrence Shannon with charging him with rape and or a secondary condition of sexual assault. And if you read the terms that are out there, they're in the Twitterverse, it makes you kind of wonder a little bit. But one thing I want to make perfectly clear here as we talk about this, and then we'll actually get into, we could talk about this a little bit more about maybe what our thoughts on this. But this is a really challenging and difficult situation, no matter which side of who you think did something or didn't do something you sit. As Illinois fans, some of us have been privy to Terrence Shannon and who he is as a person, as a basketball player, as a student athlete for 18 months. Some of us, like Ryan and I, who invest a lot of our time and energy into this for a longer period of time, have known about Terrence Shannon for the better part of 7 years. I knew about him when he was a junior in high school and really wanted him to come to the University of Illinois, as he was a rising prospect who was thought of as super athletic, but great kid, good student. Couldn't shoot was the knock on him when he initially enrolled in Texas Tech. And there were some questions about him coming to Illinois. And then obviously Illinois got him here. And we've seen the man that he's shown us has been somebody that we all like. We were in adoration of Terrence Shannon, not only from a performance on the basketball court standpoint, but what he appeared to be as a leader of this university. And so it's natural for us as Illinois fans to say, well, she's lying. She's lying. He didn't do it, because she is a nameless, faceless person who, because the way our society works, needs to remain anonymous and gets protected by such. But at the same time, we have a known person versus a complete unknown person. It's very easy for us to say, he didn't do this, and she's lying. And it's also very easy for us if we are in a situation where we can say, my sister, I'm speaking this from a man, my wife, my mother, my cousin was raped. I am abhorred that anybody could even be accused of such things. He's a bad person. And all I'm telling you guys is the only people that know are truly the two people that are there. And I'm not casting dispersions on her. I'm not casting dispersions on him. It just is what it is. And while I brought up instances in the past that have happened with athletes where we know that athletes have been accused and charged of things that they actually didn't do, we don't hear about Joe Schmo who raped a girl and got convicted unless it hits us personally. This one hits us personally, so it's really difficult for us to adjust. My point being is that, we can only, and let's go back to something I talk about a lot of times. My father-in-law, he's sitting in the other room right now. My family's here for Christmas, and I really appreciate it. Is that he told me a long time ago: if you put your faith in man, you'll always be let down. You put your faith in God, and you'll never be let down. Is that humans are fallible. And like I said, I am not saying that I believe that Terrence Shannon's a rapist, and I'm not saying that I believe this girl's a liar. I'm just saying that this is what it is, and Terrence Shannon's days of playing basketball for the University of Illinois are over. His dream of having his jersey in the rafters is over. His dream of the ideology of Terrence Shannon returning to the University of Illinois 5 years down the road as an NBA player is probably over. And you know what? It really freaking sucks. It's really sad. Whether he did or whether he didn't do it, it's just all around sad.
And the only way that would be possible is if he doesn't take the plea deal for the sexual battery, which I believe the prosecution is going to try to push for. And I am.
His attorney flat out said they're going to trial.
Yeah, I know, but let me just tell you. I'm just going to tell you that just things I've heard too. They might take it to trial, but when things come to shove, when you hear 12 to 50 years, if you just happen to lose, you're pretty much, your life, it's not over, but your dream of anything's over. And take it from someone who's been in a situation they didn't deserve. Sometimes you do things a year later that you didn't think you were going to ever do, because you look and go, I have a child, like I have a life, I have things that I want to achieve, and I can't do that behind bars. So There's a lot there. But I will say, as you said, again, no judgment on either party, but the Terrence Shannon that I think we all know and love, and as people on this chat has said, Brad Underwood loves Terrence Shannon Jr. He wouldn't have said those things about Terrence, and they wouldn't have these video montages. By the way, they all knew about these things from September, and they still did those things. Here's why. The staff didn't believe he would do those things. They also didn't think that charges were going to be filed. I was told as of last night, the staff, nobody thought that charges were going to be filed on it. They thought it was over. Terrence thought it was over. The staff thought it was over. And they were so stunned and shocked and just gut punched like everybody else here. Heck, as of this morning or late last night, Terrence Shannon's mother was liking, I posted something about, you can tell they're a real family, his mom liked the tweet, and then the bombshell happens, 4 or 5 hours later, where he's got a warrant was issued. And it's just hard for me to see Terrence doing something like that. But again, obviously not everything is as we see, in our day-to-day life. So it's just hard in general. And Illini Nation, there, like I said, 1% chance that he's going to play again this year. These things don't happen, overnight. It takes 4 to 6 weeks usually to get a court date, and that's a preliminary hearing. And then, especially if you're going to take something to trial, they also have pre-trial hearings before all that. Then they would probably have to file motions for DNA and all this other stuff. This is a long, drawn-out process, and for something this important, it's not going to be some overnight thing. So that's
and we can be bitter about it as fans. I mean, there's two ways.
We can be. We have a right to be. It's okay for a little bit.
Right. And no matter what happens on either side of this coin, Illinois got screwed out of what could be a really good basketball season and potentially honoring a legend at the University of Illinois. No matter what way we lose. If Terrence Shannon didn't do this, is exonerated, if she comes out and says he didn't do it, then what? His career is over. Just like Jake said, if he's found guilty and turns out he didn't do it, he should get another year. Well, no, he's going to go to the NBA. He's already almost in a lottery pick. If he did do it, then we got screwed by putting trust in a guy who was our guy. And it just sucks for us as fans. And I know it's really tough for us because the way that Terrence Shannon has presented himself, not only to the basketball team, but to the community of Champaign-Urbana and as a leader. And one of the things that we're going to challenge, it's going to challenge a lot of us to look at, and I'll keep saying this, I have my personal beliefs, and I'm going to keep my personal beliefs, right? That's me, because I'm by no means going to libel myself by putting myself out here in a public forum and say that I think this or that. But it's really hard for fans or specifically fans, to look at somebody that is doing what appears to be all the right things and then does something that is so against that. It's called incongruent behavior. And incongruent behavior is really challenging for humans to understand. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It's just a rare thing, is that most people will show you who they are. People can tell you who they are, and then people can show you who they are. Terrence Shannon, for lack of a better term, last year didn't tell you who he was, didn't tell the basketball team who he was. It frustrated Brad Underwood that he wasn't more of a leader. And this season has told people more about who he was, but he's always been a lead first by example guy. So this, for us, is really incongruent, and it's really hard for us to swallow and understand. And that's why we're upset. But we're and just understand this, people's lives are impacted here. That's much more important than basketball. Basketball is entertainment, and it's fun for us to watch. But two people's lives have been dramatically impacted by this. Terrence Shannon and the young lady. And that's where we kind of need to have this understanding.
And Kevin's doing what he feels is best for him for the hearsay situation. And I'm not going to paint a specific picture for everyone. But the things that I have heard and other people closest to me, I'm just going to tell people this is what, and this is my opinion. It's an opinion. You don't have to, I'm not going to sit on here and say it's fact. I don't believe he did it. I also think there was a lot at play here. I don't believe that they were just alone. I believe there was a lot of, I think there was some animosity as well. I think sometimes when things don't go specific people's way, even if it was consensual, I think sometimes, feelings get in the way of specific situations. And I think that it's sad because the season's over for him. His career's over in college. And one way or another, I think it's going to be really hard for him to not have a legal ramification on his background, no matter what. So,
yeah. And Jake keeps saying if they had this information 3 months ago, why has nothing happened? It's because it was simply an accusation at this time. There was an accusation of such in the police officers, the Lawrence Police Department, and investigators and sheriffs were going to investigate it.
Yeah. So here,
and so at that point in time, like I can accuse anybody of anything, Jake. I could accuse you of something and call the cops about it. Should you lose your job immediately because I make the accusation? No. Now that charges are filed, the University of Illinois has to file the protocols and the student handbook and student guidelines. So,
and also I want people to, this is the only maybe word lingo here that I want people that I can say. I don't believe it was this sexual intercourse that people think it was. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Okay. I don't believe that's what happened. And it's okay if anybody has a problem with me saying that. You guys know where to find me, and I'm not one hard to find. So,
Brendan Jameson, charges were filed today. That's the reason why he turned himself over to authorities today. He was arrested today. The University of Illinois and the Illinois basketball team would not do a big promo, a 10-minute deal on Twitter 2 weeks ago if the records, I don't know what the hell records filed means. He was charged today. He turned himself over to authorities today.
Okay.
He was charged today.
Anyone here can make any assumption they want. I'm going to go off of a lot of people who know the situation, and I have my own opinion. You guys can form your own as well. So if anybody wants to assume something, go for it. If you don't, that's your right too. But as our great good friend Matt McCumber eloquently said to us, I think he posted a tweet, Kevin. He said this, that Illinois coaching staff didn't do the wrong thing just because they knew there was an investigation in September. Until charges are actually filed on a player, you're really holding that against someone that something's going to happen. You're holding yourself back to just say, just in case something happens, let's take away Terrence Shannon's final season, because at the end of the day, anyone can accuse anybody of anything. So if we're held to that standard, which, by the way, as we mentioned earlier, people, the standard, the way it is you are innocent until proven guilty. So if you don't even give someone that benefit, now it's just because you get accused of something and not charged, you should still be held back and restrained from your life. I think that's just stupid. That's a stupid way to go. And I think the Illini coaches not only did they not think he was going to be charged, they know that's not how life works. Because at the end of the day, Brad Underwood tomorrow could be charged for anything. Somebody could come out of the woodworks and say anything about anybody. But if that's how you want to live your life, then I think you're tiptoeing life.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be more info leaking out in the next 48 to 72 hours. And I'm not accusing her of lying. I just have heard some contradictory stories that I said that I'm not going to do that at all.
That's actually, I hope Padone 2024 is just trolling.
Yeah,
I think, but I
grew up in a law firm. I can attest to what he's saying is right. So. Yeah. I will say this, and Brenda, I'm not arguing with you. I know that he was charged officially today, and he turned himself over to authorities today. So,
yeah, there's a reason that we can't. I know this. Cav
knows. He said it right. Prayers to all involved. It's a sad situation, no matter how you look at it.
Cav knows quite a bit more than me, but what I heard from him. I also heard from two other people who don't know Kevin.
Right.
So let's match it all up. Let's put it together. And there's a reason I can't drop everything I would like to, because at the end of the day, it's hard enough to deal with that situation. But then I feel like that's shitting on Terrence Shannon even more at the moment, and I don't feel like that's necessary, because at the moment, again, innocent until proven guilty, I have a right to feel like I do about it, and I'm going to. Now,
Will, I feel you, man. Same way I felt about some other situations, dude. I feel you. I'm just leaving it at that. Hey, I do want, like, Ryan, we can beat this. There's no right course of action for you and I here. There is absolutely a wrong course of action, and I think we've avoided that.
yep.
The point of this is this is a Illinois sports podcast.
Yeah,
We're talking about
we're gonna
Illinois
get to
sports.
that. And
Right.
Padone, no, I'm not a lawyer. I've never been around a lawyer. I'm not a freaking paralegal. I've just had enough bullshit in my life happen that I know how the court system works, and that's just a fact. So,
But I do want to say this is, like, I've talked about this a lot of times on the show. I care about what happens between the lines, and there's a reason because of that. It's like I stopped idolizing athletes a long time ago. I
Justin
am
Harmon, Hudson.
What's that?
I said Justin Harmon. I'm answering questions as you're talking.
Yeah. So my thing is, what is going to happen between the lines? Because I've learned to stop. I am mesmerized by their athletic ability, and the guys that do right in the community. I think they're phenomenal people. But I stopped idolizing athletes a long time ago. The last athlete I truly idolized died before I could find out any bad information about him, and that was Walter Payton. And so, I was a huge Michael Jordan fan, and thank goodness I took athletes off a pedestal before I found out what kind of truly person. Michael Jordan's not the nicest guy, right? He's not a bad dude. He's a womanizer, and he likes to gamble. So that's my thing. I am concerned with how does this Illinois team attack this from an on-court perspective. And I know everybody wants to talk to us about the off-court perspective, but we know about as much as you do. We may know a little bit more, but it's still hearsay. It's not like we have documented sources that can come out and say, this is what's going on. I have had 4 different people now reach out to me and give me the same story. Now, granted, all of those people have connections to the University of Illinois in some way, shape, or form. And so that might be Terrence's story. And so it just is what it is. It's hearsay, and I'm not going to come out and say what I've heard, because that I mean, dude, I don't want to get sued. It made me liable. I will say this. So let's talk about on-court stuff.
Okay, no, so we for the last time, someone's asking. Yes, Kevin, we both feel this is it for Terrence Shannon. His career is over at Illinois.
I will say this. I don't think Sincere Harris. I talked to somebody very connected with the program, very connected with an assistant coach. I do not see that Sincere Harris Burns is redshirt. What I see for this team is that Marcus Damas, Quincy Guerrier, and Coleman Hawkins have to be 10 to 15 point scorers a night, right? And that's who this team needs to be going forward. Sincere Harris doesn't really change that. What I do think is they were at the Kansas game to watch Illinois play Kansas. Johnny Newton and Terrence Shannon are really good friends. Like,
yep.
He
was there to support his buddy in a big road game. So that's all there was. And there's my to-dunch moment with
Padone knew what he was doing.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm not running from it, baby. If you see my life, I got a good life. So people can say whatever they want, man. I enjoy the show. 400 people are watching a podcast I'm doing right now. So I guess life ain't too bad, is it, Kev?
No, and people who don't want to take the time to understand a person or get to know the story, that's their choice.
Yep. Now,
I think Luke Goody does. Lunkers with Lucas. I think Luke Goody moves into the starting role, and I think that what happens is, DGL. Like, I know a lot of people have been pining for our guy, and I say our guy because he came on the show, and we Ryan and I both really love and respect the young man, and we want him to do well. Get ready for those Coleman.
Yeah, baby. I'm talking now. We're not getting 10 threes from Coleman now. We're getting 15 a game.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think DGL is going to have to come in and step up and actually be a scoring threat off the bench, because what this team is going to struggle to do is score the ball. Now,
you too, Will.
What now? Yeah, Justin Harmon time. Justin Harmon scored 31 in the Final Four of the NIT. That means you can do it against some decent competition. He's going to have to do that. So what we're going to have to see is some other guys are going to have to step up. It's truly going to be next man up. And That's going to be interesting to see how this. But Robbie Hummel said it best. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by some of the comments here. Really appreciate all you guys other than Pete on. You can kick rocks, freaking troll. Why don't you put your real name on here, coward? But what we're going to have to see from people on this team is
what did Robbie Hummel say, Kev? What did
Robbie
say?
Robbie Hummel said that Illinois wasn't really running sets for Terrence Shannon, and Brad Underwood even said it in the post-game interview. How many sets did we run as a team against Missouri? Probably 2. Is what we were really utilizing Terrence for was transition buckets. And we're going to lose that. You just don't replace that with Terrence. You just cannot replace that. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to execute better in the half court and be a supreme defensive team. And guys like DGL and Armani Hansberry and Dane Danger are really going to have to step up because those guys are going to start to get more tick. It'd be nice to see if Moretti can come back because I do believe that improves our offense. And we'll go from there. So.
Now, with that said, I think Quincy Guerrera is going to be one of the leaders of the team. And he's coming on super strong now. He's not only, asserting himself, but I think he's actually healthy now, Kev. That was something that really wasn't talked about much earlier in the beginning of the season, is that his wrist was still not 100%. And these last couple weeks, he's been shooting the 3 a whole lot better.
Absolutely.
I think he's, obviously an older guy like Terrence Shannon was. And I think, I think you can't replace Terrence Shannon Jr. Let's just be clear. I know Kev's probably mentioned that a little bit too, but you just can't replace somebody like that. But I
still think this is a tournament team.
Yeah,
I still think they have the ability to be a tournament team.
I think this team still has the ability to be a second weekend team. It's just going to be a different style of play to a degree. I think we're going to see a lot of 3-pointers as well. Still more to go around now. More to go around. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more Dane Danger too, with Coleman Hawkins on the floor.
Yep, and what you can do there is you kind of need that without Rogers. You can't really. I don't think you can play Rogers and Dane together much. So you'd like to be able to see DGL in that point guard role or Moretti to do some of that. And I've got some guys are asking, how does this impact recruiting? Okay, so this is kind of nuanced.
Gary,
Illinois for lack. This is not the show you should be jumping in on. My daughter popped her head in here. Got to have some real tough conversations with my little one.
Hey, what's up?
This is Claire. I took her to the Missouri game.
What's happening?
All right. I'll be right. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'll be right out. So is this going to impact recruiting? I think Illinois handled this about as best as you possibly can handle it. And if you're a recruit, 99% of the chance you're going to identify more with Terrence Shannon than the alleged victim in this case. And so you're going to have to look at how did Illinois treat Terrence Shannon, and is that part of a program you want to be a part of? And that's just human nature, folks. If you're a 5-star, 4-star basketball player, do you identify more with Terrence Shannon, or do you identify more with a nameless, faceless victim in Kansas? My guess is it's Terrence Shannon. Whether that's good, whether that's bad, that's for you to determine. But my guess is that I don't think overall, other than actual on-court performance, that this team is not the 11th best team in the country without Terrence Shannon. I don't know if we're the top 25 team without Terrence Shannon. I do believe we're still a tournament team without Terrence Shannon. It'll be interesting to see how the committee treats us because we won't have Terrence Shannon. We saw how the committee treated Cincinnati years ago when Kenyon Martin broke his leg.
I mean, I got to be honest, though, even though the AP poll doesn't really matter much, if Illinois drops drastically because of this, even if they beat FDU by 30 or something, I'm going to blow my stack because that's just unnecessary. Nobody knows how this team's going to be. And I see people on here saying this team isn't a tournament team anymore. No. I mean, come on, really? Like, there's still quality on this team. I think and I know you said Sincere Harris probably still not coming back, but I don't think that he needs to for this team to win 21, 22 games and make the tournament. I still think once you get in, it's all about matchups. And this team has enough older guys and enough 3-point shooting with Goody. Come on, Goody's shooting, 40% from deep?
Yeah.
It's still there.
And Coleman shooting almost 40% in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
Gary shooting over 40% in the last few games. You just hope that's a trend. Obviously, the threat of Terrence driving the ball opens a lot of that up. So
it's not the same team. And here's the thing. I think the expectations of a Final Four type squad, I think that's just malarkey to talk about right now anymore. But I think
Brad, and I want to address. I mean, Matthew asked a couple questions. I guess we didn't answer, but whatever. I missed it. Sorry. There's
Matt,
a lot of
ask again if you need to. Go ahead and answer Brad. He's the one who said he doesn't think it's a tournament team anymore earlier, Kevin.
Well, I think the team will be emotionally done after. It's going to be hard for them to play basketball after this. I disagree. I actually think they're going to rally around one another. I think sometimes things like this can be a galvanizing event. Now, the level of that is how long is that a galvanizing event? How long can you play on that? But, we just saw the Christmas thing happen today. Like, we saw the way these guys love one another. I think there's a level of people that are going to rally around one another and try and play out the season for Terrence. And whether you believe that's a good or a bad thing, that's on you. So
yeah, I don't think they'll have to rush Moretti back. I think he'll be in the fold again now when he's ready to go. But I also think too, what I was told, I talked to a couple people, within the team, and people can make jibber jabs at DGL's mother, who I talk to, a few times every other week or so. We chat. I know that the team is upset and they're hurt, but they also want to play for Terrence.
Yeah.
They are motivated and inspired, not just because they love their brother and they think he's innocent, but I think they know that people are going to doubt them now. There's going to be a chip on their shoulder too, and I know they're playing for Terrence. I guarantee, and I promise you, behind the scenes, that's being discussed. That's been discussed. And then they're going to be ready to go for Northwestern next Tuesday. And yes, they'll be ready for Fairleigh Dickinson tomorrow. But
absolutely. And Ryan, with that said, I hate to do this to you, brother, because we got a lot of people on looking here, but my daughter's ready to go to bed. And I think about the light of these events, and I think about what's truly important. And what's truly important are my 10 and 7-year-olds getting ready to go to bed. And Daddy's going to go read them a book, lay down with them for a little bit, and put his arms around them and hope that they don't have to experience something like this. So
hey,
I want to appreciate everybody for chiming in here. This is bigger than basketball. These are people's lives at stake. So just remember that. And please, I hope you guys can respect the way that Ryan and I need to handle this, is that while we are still believe that Terrence Shannon has shown himself to be a first-class human being, we also can't say that a woman who's accusing him of rape is a flat-out liar. You can't do that. You have to find some middle ground here. Middle ground's focus on the team that we do have, because it's going to hurt Illinois regardless, and go live our lives, man. Appreciate all y'all for tuning in tonight.
Hey, follow this guy, please, at Illini Deuce, okay? Give him a follow. You can catch us on Sunday, Monday nights doing the show, but his other takes as well. Maybe he might start doing some more articles.
Yeah, I'll do my best if I can, and I appreciate everybody for jumping in. I mean, people on the YouTube, people on the Twitter, people on all of it, man. It's been really great. I appreciate everybody chiming in, and it's a really tough thing to talk about, but we felt like we owed it to those guys who tune in every week, and I appreciate y'all. Go Illini. Yep.
Love you, Kev. Talk to you later.
Love you too, bro. See you.
I'll stay on for another 5 minutes and just answer some questions just a little bit. So I'll answer some questions here for a few minutes if anybody's got something. Yeah, we got Fade the Deuce. Try to do something this week. I actually have a special show coming up with a prized recruit I think you guys might like for the Illini 2024 class. I think you guys will enjoy it, and we appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, at 200 Columns, Keeping It Orange and Blue, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys listen to those, go ahead and rate them. Give them some stars. Give them some reviews. We appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody who jumped on tonight. Any other questions I'll try to answer. I'm going to give one last thing here before Kevin left, that Kevin and me didn't speak on. So basically, in a nutshell, Terrence Shannon Jr. went to the football game to support Johnny Newton. Justin Harmon came with him. Okay? They enjoyed the game. They went out after the game with some people and some players that obviously Terrence Shannon knows. Kevin McCullough may be one of those, but Justin Harmon was there as well. Obviously the football team couldn't partake in this. They didn't go to some house where it was just secluded. From what I was told, it was at a bar, like a bar club type situation where the situation happened. So it wasn't like Terrence was just singularly alone with a woman. Okay. And as I mentioned, yeah, Randy, there you go. Basically, that things happened and it was a consensual situation, but not maybe everything that the lady wanted to happen per se or thought wanted to happen. But again, in my opinion, I don't believe Terrence Shannon would do anything like that. And Kevin and me have our own thoughts and beliefs on it. But again, innocent until proven guilty. I was told it was a consensual situation, but I'm not delving into the type of act that happened. So that's the timeline. That's what I was told. And eventually down the road, I hope most of it comes out. I don't know how much of it will, but that's what I was told. And that's what I'm expressing to you guys. So, I'm sure people will, Jake. People will come forward. Yeah. As SEC said, Harris is not coming back. Anyway, I still think this is a tournament team. I still think this is a team that can win a first-round matchup and give themselves a chance to win a second-round matchup and get to the Sweet 16. But let's just enjoy them. And they're going to be an inspired team. The situation with Shannon sucks. But let me just tell you this from personal experience. If everybody wants to get down and just think the season's over and, the season's lost, they suck, let them play. Let's see how they play Northwestern next week. Then they're going to go to Purdue and be heavy underdogs. Okay, let's let the season play out and see how these guys can play. Let's see if DGL and Hansberry grow and keep getting better. And I think Harmon, by the way, has the capabilities to be a double-digit scorer. I think he's going to get a chance to shoot more. I think Coleman Hawkins, his confidence has grown. Gary A's confidence is growing. I think you got a focal point to mask in the post. I think. And Danja's going to get a lot more time now. I think you really should see more Danja and Coleman playing together. Yep. There's going to be plenty of chances Illinois should be the favorite to win these games, especially, with you get Rutgers at home again, you get Penn State, Maryland at home, Minnesota at home. You got to take care of business against Northwestern. Definitely this coming week, start out the Big Ten 2-0, set the precedent, get to 11-2, and go from there. I think that's an important key. I think their net's not going to really fall so far this year. They're already in the top 10 in net. So as long as, and Goody, as long as Illinois is not losing 2-3 games to sub 200 net teams, their metrics are good, and they should be good. I don't know, Lazy, about the countersuits. Don't know. I don't know if that was it. But that's it for tonight. I'm trying to answer as much as I hope what we said has given you a little bit better idea of kind of the situation, where he was at with, who he was with. And this wasn't like it was he just took some girl off by himself and nobody was around in a shady area. And this dude is just just a terrible individual who secretly doing things that nobody could imagine, nobody can envision. I don't believe that's the case at all. And I think the push for the misdemeanor, in my opinion, is really what's going to happen, which would be sad one way or another. And the fact that he wants to take it to trial is going to end his Illini career, because at the end of the day, his life is more important than his final 3 months at Illinois. I agree, Corey. I agree. Anthony Winfield, any football recruiting info? They're still going after Hastings, the defensive lineman. I know that. So, and then pretty much they're done after that in the transfer portal. They might get that up another preferred walk-on tight end as well. So, with that said, I'm jumping off. Thanks for jumping in. We appreciate you. Thanks for following along on YouTube and on here. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., Big Ten Network. Michael Tulip's on the call. Again, It's okay. Take a deep breath. Don't give up on this team. Don't give up on the team. But they're going to be playing for Terrence Shannon. Promise you that. Swallow me out.